It started as a fiery political debate, but by the end of the night, it had morphed into something much darker. The cameras caught every second, the tension, the stares, the silence that followed. Candace Owens and Ben Shapiro, two of the most powerful voices in conservative America, stood across from each other like rivals on a battlefield. But it wasn't just ideology at stake, because somewhere between their words, one name began to haunt every corner of the internet. Charlie Kirk, the man who built an empire and then vanished. When Candace leaned into the microphone and said, "You think Charlie just disappeared? No, Ben, you know what's going on," the room froze. The crowd didn't know whether to clap or gasp. Ben's expression faltered for the first time. The debater, known for precision and control, suddenly looked human, rattled, uncertain. Cameras flashed, whispers erupted, and within hours, hashtags flooded the web. Hashtag where is Charlie Kirk? Hashtag they silenced Charlie. Hashtag Candace versus Ben. Something was unraveling, and no one could stop it. To understand how this explosion happened, you have to rewind. There was a time when Candace Owens, Ben Shapiro, and Charlie Kirk weren't enemies. They were allies. Together, they represented the next generation of conservative power. Candace, bold, unpredictable, unafraid of controversy. Ben, intellectual, sharp, always in command. And Charlie, the architect of Turning Point USA, a man who turned youth activism into a billion-dollar empire. On stage, they looked united, but off-camera, things were already breaking. Candace had begun to feel boxed in, used by networks and sponsors who loved her fire but hated her freedom. Ben saw her unpredictability as a threat to the order he built. And Charlie? He thought he could control them both. Their alliance wasn't built on friendship, it was built on power. And when power shifts, alliances die.
Then came the first sign something was wrong. Charlie Kirk went silent. No tweets, no videos, no speeches. Just gone. At first, it looked like a break. Then it became eerie. Days turned into weeks. The man who once dominated headlines had vanished from his own movement. And when Candace hinted that something darker was happening, the internet lost its mind. Leaked screenshots appeared online, alleged messages between Candace and Charlie. "They're after me," one message read. "You need to get out before it's too late." Whether real or not, they ignited chaos. The post disappeared hours later, but it didn't matter. The rumor was alive. People started whispering. Was Charlie silenced? Then came the photo. A grainy image of a man who looked like Charlie being escorted into a black SUV by men in suits. It appeared on an anonymous account called Shadow Lake with the chilling caption. He tried to expose them. If Candace continues, she's next. Within minutes, it spread across TikTok, Reddit, and X. Some said it was fake. Others claimed it was proof. But one thing was clear. Candace Owens wasn't just debating anymore. She was in danger. Ben Shapiro tried to kill the story. He released a video saying, "These rumors are false. Charlie is fine." But his eyes told a different story. He looked uneasy, defensive, like a man walking through fire, pretending not to feel the heat. One user wrote, "Ben can say anything except where Charlie is." And that's when the internet turned on him.
The story went nuclear when Kanye West tweeted, "They always go after the ones who know too much." Elon Musk followed with 3 words, "Where's Charlie Kirk?" Suddenly, it wasn't just a conservative mystery, it was a global obsession. Everyone wanted to know the same thing. Where was Charlie, and who were they? Then, a new leak hit, a supposed internal email from Turning Point USA titled, "Charlie Kirk's Legacy Fund." It spoke of continuing operations in light of recent developments. No mention of Charlie directly, but enough to send shockwaves through his followers. Staffers allegedly whispered about being told not to ask questions. Donors demanded answers. And through it all, Candace posted one chilling message. "He told me things that got him in trouble. If you think Ben doesn't know, you're fooling yourself." A few days later, another image appeared, a blurry shot from what looked like a hospital room. The caption said, "He's gone. Candace isn't lying." Some said it was AI generated, others swore it was real, but the internet no longer cared about facts, it cared about fear. The debate had turned into a digital manhunt. Then came the 4chan post, allegedly from a Turning Point employee. "Charlie hasn't been seen in weeks. Management said not to ask. Everyone is scared." It went viral instantly. The conservative movement that once prided itself on unity was now imploding in real time. Influencers picked sides, Team Candace or Team Ben. Conspiracy channels claimed a cover-up. Mainstream outlets called it madness. But somewhere in the chaos, the truth got buried deeper.
Candace went live again days later. Her tone had changed. Gone was the sharp humor. This time, she looked exhausted and terrified. "They think they can erase Charlie," she said softly, "but I won't be silent, because if I am, I'm next." The clip exploded online, viewed tens of millions of times within hours. Ben finally addressed it again on his podcast. "Candace Owens is spreading lies," he said. "Charlie Kirk is safe. He just can't speak publicly right now. That's all I can say." But those last 6 words, "that's all I can say," set off another wave, because to millions listening, it didn't sound like reassurance. It sounded like surrender. Minutes later, Candace posted one final image, a grainy CCTV still of a parking garage, a man who looked like Charlie surrounded by men in suits. The caption, "Last time I saw him." Within minutes, the post vanished, deleted, but the damage was done. The world had seen it. The silence that followed was louder than any headline. Now the internet is divided between believers and skeptics. Did Candace Owens stumble onto something real, or create the biggest digital illusion of the year? Did Ben Shapiro protect a friend, or bury the truth? And what happened to Charlie Kirk, the man who built a movement only to disappear into its shadow? One thing's certain, this is no longer just politics. It's power, fear, and silence colliding in real time. Because in today's world, truth isn't decided by evidence. It's decided by whoever speaks first and loudest. And right now, Candace Owens has the mic. So what do you think? Is this a conspiracy, a cover-up, or just another chapter in the chaos of modern fame? One debate, 3 names, and a mystery the internet refuses to let die. Because as long as Charlie Kirk remains unseen, the question will echo forever. Where is Charlie Kirk?